Well, hello there, motherfuckers, and welcome to your Payback 2017 review. Gotta say, it wasn't really a bad pay-per-view per se. I was a bit surprised. There was actually quite a few things I liked on the card. Did it feel like it was an amazing show? No, but it was different. They tried a couple of things, and trust me, I noticed, when you set the bar this low, things when they're just average or okay are going to seem better. And that's kind of what happened on this show. Now, I see a lot of people saying this show was terrible, it was awful, and I'm not really seeing that much. I mean, I don't really see how this is like a horrible show. It was decent, and by today's standards, you could even argue that it was good compared to the things that they've done, in recent months. They tried a couple of little different things here. They started off with Jericho defeating Kevin Owens and winning the U.S. belt. This is the kind of booking that's haunted them for years and years. And I shouldn't even use the term haunted because they've done it to themselves. They're the ones booking it this way. They're booking 50-50. One guy wins 1 week, wins another week. The same guy who just lost. It's like, there's no such thing as momentum anymore. That was one thing instrumental in many wrestlers' careers, momentum. Think where Hulk Hogan would be without momentum. Think about where The Rock would have been without momentum. Think about where The Rock would have been if he didn't have, a Mania match, if he wasn't, throughout the year winning, constantly winning matches. No one would take him seriously, and everybody will make the argument, wins and losses don't count. That's what Road Dogg says on Twitter all the time. Wins and losses don't count. Nobody pays attention to that. Well, obviously a lot of people do, because they're not watching anymore. They notice that all these guys that they try to build up, they don't hang around for long. They keep jobbing them out. They give them a title. They job them out. They win a pay-per-view 1 month, and the very next month they're already losing the title. Case in point, Bray Wyatt. But here's another example. Kevin Owens just won the U.S. title at WrestleMania. Now, Jericho was the U.S. champion just a month ago, and now he's already winning the belt back from the guy who just beat him. And, they go through the trouble of giving Kevin Owens a new nickname and a whole new Titantron video that says, the face of America. And now he's not even U.S. champ anymore, so it doesn't even matter. Now you got both guys on SmackDown, so that means they're probably going to continue the feud. And they're going to continue these feuds that no one even cares about. Do people really care about Jericho and Owens' feud? Because I really don't. It's very uninteresting. I didn't even like the team. I don't even really care. At this point in the game, Jericho is not really entertaining me. There's talk of Jericho reinventing himself. I don't think this whole scarf-wearing Jericho and, the list with Jericho, this is not reinventing. These are just things that are, like Jericho hanging on to a thread. He used to be one of the most entertaining personalities on the show. Now they got rid of all his old catchphrases and brought in new ones that are just not as good. He's a shell of his former self. I mean, he's still good in the ring, but I look at this new reinvented Jericho that he's getting credited for, and it's not really on the same, par as, say, broken Matt Hardy. It's not reinventing, and when you reinvent yourself, and you get credited for it, it's usually you're better. You improve your character. You change your character up and you get to the next level, or you find an equally as good character to go by to freshen up your act. And that's not what I'm seeing here from Jericho. Giving him another U.S. title is not going to really add anything to this guy's resume. They talk about how he was the first undisputed champion, and giving him secondary titles it's not really doing a whole lot for Jericho. Winning titles at this stage in the game, it's like if The Rock came back and won the Intercontinental title, like what would it mean for a guy that's already won multiple world titles, just like Jericho? What would it mean to come back and win a title just to have a guy hold the belt? And that's pretty much what we're looking at here, just a guy holding a belt, because it's time for Jericho to hold the belt. He hadn't held one in a long time, so they wanted to give him another belt. But it doesn't make sense. It's just giving a guy a belt to hold for the sake of having a belt. What's the point of that? And this 50-50 booking has got to stop already. Every single time, anyone starts to get any sort of momentum or character going, any type of build, they all of a sudden just have the guy losing. And look at Kevin Owens. This guy, they gave him the world title, the universal title, loses to Goldberg, in about a minute. Then he moves on and wins the U.S. title at Mania, has a Mania moment, or, as Mania moments go nowadays, and he's already lost the title already. So now what does he have going for him? Absolutely nothing. They just don't believe in building anybody up or making them look strong at all. As far as the match goes, what I did notice here was they tried to put a little psychology in here, working over the hand of Kevin Owens, because he did the thing again he did at Mania, getting the rope break with one finger. Now Vince Russo brought up a very interesting point in his podcast. He's stomping on one hand, it's trying to be cute a little bit, getting back at the hand, for getting the finger on the rope. But, he's doing it to the left hand, I believe. So why doesn't Kevin Owens use his right hand? When you think about it, the guy's got two hands. If one hand isn't good enough to reach out for the ropes, he could use the other one. Why would he even bother using the arm that's been injured? But that just makes him look like not only like a dumbass, but a fat fucking dumbass, which he is. Like I said, Kevin Owens is an okay wrestler, but the way how they're gonna book this guy, it's all about the booking here. If you're gonna book the guy to look like a total fucking moron. Now, what I did notice here is this was an attempt at psychology. I applaud that. Finally, some psychology in matches after just having move to move and having matches heavily choreographed out. That's the thing. They make it look so goddamn fake nowadays. They're making it look more like a fucking action movie than a wrestling match. How it used to look back in the day. And so this kind of harkened back to the classic booking of yesteryear, and I appreciated that. Even if the psychology was pretty stupid psychology, it was an attempt to have a little bit in the match. Austin Aries defeated Neville by disqualification. This type of match brings up another interesting point. So as far as the cruiserweights go, these are the only two cruiserweights that have any credibility here at all, as far as I'm concerned. These are the only guys in the cruiserweight division that look like they could kick anybody's ass. They're the only guys that actually look tough. They're the only guys that actually look like they go to the goddamn gym. The rest of the guys just look like a bunch of, like I said, I've said it a number of times, a bunch of nobodies that, WWE just scooped off the streets, just a bunch of bums they cleaned up, They're a bunch of nobodies. These are the only guys that, you look at their faces and they appear to look like, stars of some sort. And the match was good. You could definitely tell that the way they mapped this match out, these guys are two pros, more than the nonsense that the other guys do, like TJ Perkins, who you could see that this guy didn't even look like he trained at a wrestling school. He looks like he just played WWE video games, and that's how he wrestles, like a video game character. So that jabroni, compared to Aries and Neville, he's like in this is Neville and Aries right up here, and this is where he is, all the way at the bottom. So they shouldn't even bother with this division. It's a bunch of amateurs wrestling matches, in a fashion that's not even enjoyable. It's just a lot of spots and a lot of nonsense. And they look like a bunch of wimps. They look like a bunch of pussies. Look at Perkins compared to Aries and Neville. They look like they could kill a guy like Perkins. What's the point of putting a belt on a guy like T.J. Perkins? They make him out to be a stupid nerd. Look at the guy's hair. Look at his face. Listen to the theme music he comes out to. It's almost like they want to make the guy get made fun of. The end right here is another interesting point brought up by Russo. Enough with the disqualification finishes. You really have to delve deep into such a lazy finish when you think of it. Now I go on PW Torch. Wade Keller's talking about heels getting heat. Now I like what they've done with Neville. I kind of like the heel persona, but the thing is, they're not building heavily on it. Where are the promos from Neville? Why is he not, sounding a bit tougher instead of having little conversations with Perkins, finding his edge? Forget about Perkins. That guy, they should just kick his ass. I'm thinking about the little promo he had a couple of weeks ago with him on Raw. Instead of telling him, "Oh, you've lost your edge," he should just kick his little dumb ass. That's what he should have done, and it would have been way better for Neville's character. If he's the king of the cruiserweights, have him be like a king and just destroy all the other fucking jobbers, instead of trying to be a mentor and everything to them. So you got the disqualification finish, which is just, it's lazy when you think about it. How do we get out of this match and have Aries win and still keep the title on Neville? Have a DQ finish. It shows that it's not a ballsy way of booking. It's a lazy way of booking, and it makes no sense that there's a rule where that you could just instantly lose the match. All Neville's got to do is just touch the referee in some way, and he's gonna get disqualified and keep his title. And you lose, and then right away they make sure they say, "Oh, but a title can't change hands under disqualification." It's such a lazy, fake way of doing business. And they keep this moronic rule around for how long? And it's like a WWE rule. I remember in NWA, and when TNA first started, they weren't going to have that dumb rule anymore. If you got counted out, if you did any of that nonsense, they would put the title on the other guy. And I remember one time they made a point of doing it in the first year of TNA. I remember it was Kid Cash and Dallas. They lost the titles or they won the titles or something, and it was because of a disqualification. And it was a good way of doing it, to show you we're not going to do these stupid rules anymore that make why are they going to punish Aries? Aries is about to win the match, but Neville has to get himself disqualified. It's stupid. Anybody who watches this, who's not familiar with wrestling, is going to be why? Exactly as Russo had said, he could have just pulled that shit at the beginning of the match and just honestly managed to retain the title. What took him so long to think of that? He does it 10 minutes into the match. So that is definitely, I agree with Russo. That's one rule that needs to be long gone, because they book themselves, into these corners where it's it looks retarded already. They have no way of booking creatively, so they're just going to go out on the DQ finish. The Hardys beat Cesaro and Sheamus. A lot of people didn't enjoy this match. I thought it was really good, especially the post-match stuff. Now, I haven't watched Raw yet. I don't think the Hardys were on, or if they were, it was kind of just a video package or something, but I don't think that they were on. They said this is probably going to lead to their broken gimmick, which I hope they do already. Because for God's sakes, ever since the Hardys came back at Mania, they're just making them boring and bland. When you've got two legends on the roster, just like the Dudleys, you had two legends there. A big tag team that could turn a lot of heads, and get ratings, get people to be interested again, and instead they're just having them wrestle normal matches. And I'm still thinking about that promo from last week on Raw. Hey guys, with Jeff Hardy just greeting Cesaro and Sheamus like a total fucking nerd. I mean, you look at the accomplishments that they've said about Jeff Hardy, multi-time world champion, all the times he won the IC belt, all the tag team victories, revolutionizing the TLC match, and you know, just to see him here just wrestle normal matches. But this was a good pay-per-view match. Sheamus kicks Hardy in the face, Jeff anyway, and his tooth comes flying out, which was just insane. I mean, think about how hard the fucking kick was to knock the man's tooth out. You could see in videos on their YouTube channel that he's missing a tooth like right here in the back, and I was like, holy shit. I don't know how the guy wasn't bleeding out of his mouth at that point, but anyway, at the end, Cesaro and Sheamus, they all shake hands, and then they come back into the ring and beat up the Hardys. So hopefully this does lead to the broken gimmick. We obviously see Matt was doing a couple of deletes, which, you know, was pretty awesome. You know, that kind of, if he's doing that delete thing, I don't know if it was to appeal to the crowd, but you know, that would be copyright infringement right there if they weren't allowed to use the whole broken gimmick. You know, they could actually get sued for that. They could get fined for doing a copyrighted thing. So if he's allowed to do that, I'm pretty sure that they're allowed to use the gimmick. So, you know, we might have to wait another week or so, but hopefully they do it. It could, you know, the thing that scares me is WWE. You know, they ruin a lot of things. You know, for example, you know, I was watching recently again, Scott Steiner, like when he was in WWE, they made the guy bland and boring, but the guy was in TNA, and he was cutting these promos where, you know, he was either drunk or high most of the time, or, you know, the roids were fucking with his brain, but he was cutting these entertaining promos that are now classics that everybody watches on YouTube, and kind of thinking to myself, you know, are the broken Hardys going to be as good as they were in TNA? And I'm just going to come out and say it right now. I don't think so. I don't think they have anybody as creative or with the level of ingenuity as a Jeremy Borash or a Billy Corgan overseeing things. So I think that, you know, we might get a little bit of creative input from the Hardys themselves, especially Matt, but I wouldn't expect it to be quite as good. I wouldn't expect any final deletion moments. Alexa Bliss defeated Bayley. This match started off and I was kind of bored to tears, but as it progressed, it got a little bit more interesting. I like Bliss. I like her character, the facial expressions, the demeanor. It seems like they're putting a lot of stock in her. This is why I predicted. I knew she was going to win the belt. That's why they brought her to Raw. I'm looking at Bayley, and I swear to God, all I could think of is a Smurf that is not blue. Look at that face and look at that nose. I mean, holy shit. I mean, she looks like a guy. She has the face of a cartoon character, without a doubt. I mean, I'm taking a look at Bayley. And she looks like a retard. She looks like she's got mental problems. And I don't really see the point of why they, you know, put the belt on her and everything. It's such a goofy character. You know, just so they could get a couple of shots of kids in the crowd wearing her merchandise. Oh, Bayley! You know, just so they could do that, and she could hug a couple of kids and they could get good PR. It's enough with that nonsense already. The smiling kids and stuff like that. We're watching a guy getting his tooth kicked out 1 minute. The next minute we're seeing Bayley, doing that thing, you know, those floats with the big arms. I mean, like, give me a break. Like, this show is mental when you really think about it. They go one way and then they go another the very next minute, and then you've got Brian James, Road Dogg, on Twitter. A little something for everybody. Yeah, a little something for everybody. How about the show's just poorly booked and put together, and it's just a mishmash of ideas. Anyway, good psychology at the end. They had Alexa Bliss work on Bayley's head. She ends it with a DDT after, she plows her head into the ring post. So as you can see, they were thinking a little bit more psychologically here. The matches weren't just a big mishmash of moves like they normally were. So I credit that. And way better champion here. Way better to put the belt on somebody like Bliss. I'm looking at, Bayley here, and I don't think she's getting the reception that she did in NXT. But then again, this crowd is just full of a bunch of fucking goofballs who don't know what they want. Like I said, 1 minute, they want somebody from NXT. Everybody wanted Charlotte to come in, and so did I. Get Charlotte on the main roster. And then they start giving her a hard time during her promos, and they did the same thing with Sasha Banks and everybody else. They want them to come, and then they disrespect them during their matches, which this is definitely another sign to McMahon to stop listening to the fucking in-house crowd and start thinking about the people watching at home, because that's where the money is going to be made. Because then maybe we could get these goofballs out of the crowd and we could get the old crowd back, a classic crowd that actually could sit through a fucking show and not make fools of themselves. How about that? How about we forget about YWC and IWC and, and that's, if anybody wants to know why I stopped doing star ratings, it's because of that. I didn't want to appeal to the smart crowd anymore. Because I noticed, I would give them stars. The last time I did star ratings, if you guys remember, was when I rated Sami Zayn and Nakamura. After that reception, you guys noticed I started straying from star ratings. Because I gave the match 3.5 stars, and I was generous. And because the match didn't really do it for me, like everybody else, and I said it was a very good match, but I didn't find it as good as everybody else. So in turn, I was criminalized here in the YWC. When did that match take place? Like 2015, I believe. I was basically sacrificed to the YWC gods, which are just a bunch of fucking nerds. And it was unbelievable at the reception that I got and the number of thumbs down. If people took star ratings that seriously, oh my God, a whole star, that this is going to end my life, a star. You didn't give it 5 stars. I mean, this is why I'm not doing the star ratings anymore. Some people miss the star ratings, want me to... I'm sure there's some people out there who wanted me to review this show with star ratings. I'm not doing star ratings. Because star ratings are for morons. I'm not rating matches anymore. Because every single time I rated a match, I'd have to deal with a bunch of goofballs asking me why I didn't give it 1/4 of a star more. Or why I gave it, too high or too low. Or, who the fuck gives a fuck? It's a goddamn imaginary star. It's not even astronomy or anything like that. We're talking about rating matches with stars. I mean, did you think somebody would go up to Roger Ebert, if he didn't give a movie 4 stars and someone thought it was 3 stars, would they punch him in the face? I mean, give me a goddamn break. So, instead, you guys notice when I review a pay-per-view, we just do this. The star ratings are for the smarts. It's for the Dave Meltzers. It's for the people that, I know more about wrestling than anybody else. Congratulations about knowing more about a fake sport than another person. Congratulations on that one. We had the House of Horrors match, and, some people... to quote Cameron Morales, says, it was cringeworthy. It was a little bit corny. It was a bit cheesy. But you could say the same thing about Final Deletion. All I could say is I enjoyed it. It was a little bit something different. They tried to do something out of the ordinary. Keyword try. At least it was effort. They did something different. Instead of having the same old, this is a company that every single time they have a backstage interview, they have the same backdrop. They have the same format each show. This is this is a show that's basically in wrestling hell. It's in purgatory. Every single time that we have a Raw, nothing happens, nothing progressive. It just stays the same. So it was appreciated that at least they tried a little something extra here, tried to spice it up a bit. And there were some cool moments, like Orton going into the room with all the babies. One of them had like a scissor shoved into it. So they tried to at least make it a little bit like a horror movie, have it play off Bray Wyatt's character. Yes, they did want to try to make it like the Leader Decay. They definitely wanted to, take some of that, cinematography and little special effects and kind of see what it would be like to have a match combined with a video package, And I don't know, it worked for the most part, I think. Many people are complaining. But then again, remember, guys, there was a fair share of people that didn't even enjoy the final deletion, such as your beloved, what the hell is his name, Adam Blimpie, the What Culture guy. He says, "Oh, this was a dreadful match, guys. I didn't enjoy it. It was so corny and cheesy." And then, after he got hell, he was like, "I don't know what I was thinking. The final deletion was amazing. It was fantastic." I mean, you guys should thank your lucky stars you have people like me here in the YWC. Thank your lucky stars you got your YWC champ. Because at least I don't, go back on my words because people complained. Here I am 2 years later still telling you I didn't even really care that much for what the hell was it? Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura. Still sticking to my guns. Still saying the match deserved what it got. Because a couple of fans complained because maybe some people unsubscribed. Oh my God! Because they disagreed with the wrestling opinion. I don't think so. I'm gonna still say it sucked or I enjoyed it. So I enjoyed it for what it was. It was cool. Oh, it had music in the background. Where was the music coming from? Do you realize that these are guys wrestling in a ring in their underwear? Who the fuck cares if it's realistic or not? And when it comes to that, there's more things to worry about than where's the music coming from. First of all, it's Bray Wyatt, which the character's a little bit out there. I enjoyed it. They went for a little bit of production. I think it was okay. Was it a little bit cheesy? Yes, it was, but it was effort, to say the least. And like I said, when you've lowered the bar this much, this is going to seem pretty good in comparison. Was it as good as a lot of Attitude Era moments? Not exactly. Not even close, really, but it was good. I enjoyed it for what it was. It was a fun segment. Are you really saying you sat there and you hated it? If you really hated it that much, I think you'd be turning it off. You were watching it, you enjoyed it. You just don't want to admit that, something that doesn't appeal to, the What Culture and the Adam Blimpie, like the Sandwich Blimpie, I suppose. Is that his name? I don't fucking know. But, it was good. If it doesn't appeal to the smart crowd, you're not going to enjoy it. I understand how you people work. So they ended the segment. Bray Wyatt said, "Follow the buzzards." Now, the one thing that didn't make sense about this match is they have to come back to the arena. Now, it's like that's the part that bothered me about this match. They're going to have these guys drive the cars out there in the ring, right? Okay. So, out there to the house, right? To the House of Horrors. Okay. So, they're going to beat the shit out of each other. Bray Wyatt drops a refrigerator on him. And so, now they're expected to go back to the arena. Now that part is stupid. Whoever booked it that way, you got to come back and settle it in the ring. Isn't the whole point of the match to be out of the ring? Why book it so they have to go? It's too much there. Like, what? Why do they have to leave the house? Isn't it called House of Horrors? So the match has to be one outside of the House of Horrors. Just end it. drop the refrigerator on him, have Bray Wyatt pin him, and end it. The fuck is this shit going back to the arena? That was the one part that ruined it for me. Rollins beats Samoa Joe. This was just boring as fuck. I'm going to be quite honest. I didn't even really enjoy it that much. You know, just kind of like a slow, plotting match. I've never been a big Joe fan. Like I said, I've never really got the appeal of what's so exciting about this fat fucking lard-filled bastard. I mean, you know, I just don't get it. I don't get what Chubby McGulligan has going for him here. You know, this is mostly he's here because of the smarts. Otherwise, he would have arrived a lot sooner. He would have came at the same time as CM Punk. But now this is an age where, you know, guys who don't work out and guys who look like fat bastards, you know, if Kevin Owens can make his mark on the WWE, why not Samoa Joe? He's even fatter. So there you go. You know, and now Joe just, he lost already. You know, this is his first big pay-per-view match. You know, Fastlane, he wrestled Sami Zayn. No surprise there that he won that match, but you know, he's not at Mania. It's his first big match, and he lost, just as predicted. Just as I predicted. Up next, you know, Wyatt comes back to the ring, which is just awkward. You know, he's coming back again, doing his normal entrance. We just saw the guy, you know, wrestling in the House of Horrors, and now he's already back. Like, he couldn't just pin Orton. So Orton, the lights come back on. Orton's there already. It looks like Orton's about to win with the RKO, but Jinder Mahal and his boys show up. So Bray Wyatt comes with the sister Abigail and gets the pin. And this is the point where I noticed that the world title wasn't even on the line. I don't understand this. So Bray Wyatt loses at Mania, loses his title, and he wins here, but he doesn't get a rematch after all these guys getting rematches and shit. Bray Wyatt doesn't get one. Like, how much sense does that make? Okay, like, I thought that didn't they originally say this was for the world title? At first, I was like, oh shit, he won, but he didn't win the title. Like, once again, this match had me scratching my head. The title's on the line. It's not on the line. It was on the line. It never was on the line. Brad thought that it was on the line. I don't fucking even know why they had to come back to the arena. You know, I guess that was a way of having Jinder. Then just have Jinder Mahal drive there. Have him Google Maps it or some shit. Why did they have to come back to the ring? I don't fucking get it. It was just awkward. You know, you're having a match away from the arena. You got to drive all the way back. And if the whole concept was to beat your opponent down, you know, were we supposed to drive back, have a nice little Sunday drive? I mean, what the fuck is that shit about? Anyway, the main event, Braun Strowman defeated Roman Reigns. This was a nice little short brawl. It lasted like less than 10 minutes, but you know, it was alright. He hit 2 power slams, and at the end, he set up the steel steps, tossed Reigns into it. So I was wrong. I thought that they were going to kill Strowman's momentum. Let me tell you something. Braun Strowman should have wrestled. They should have put the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal on the main show. Have him win the match so he looks strong. You know, I don't like that big gap they had between, you know, him losing at Fastlane. Then they made it look like he wasn't good enough to be on the main show at Mania. Gets eliminated from the Battle Royal. But it was good enough, and I was actually happy. But here's the problem here. The last pay-per-view, Roman Reigns beat Undertaker. Now he's losing to Strowman. I don't even think they should have had this match. Yes, I know Roman Reigns, you know, shouldn't have lost here. You know, I mean, I know Roman Reigns, you know, he lost here because he, you know, he got, you know, severely injured with the ambulance shit and all that. But still, it's like a loss is a loss no matter what. And now he's, you know, like I said, once again, where's the momentum here? He just had, one of the biggest wins of his career, defeating The Undertaker, retiring The Undertaker. And now all of a sudden, here we go with Reigns losing right after he beat Undertaker. I mean, what? Like, really, there is no more momentum anymore. We're not doing that anymore. There's no momentum at all in any of these matches, in any of these, any storylines, any of these feuds, any of these characters. Nobody gets momentum. It's all about just, win one week, lose the next one. Wins don't matter. People lose all the time. People lose their car keys. I mean, we're come on. Where's the sensibility here? It's like, it would be like having a Rocky movie. In every single Rocky movie, Rocky loses and he win. Well, some of the Rocky movies he does win and lose, but that's besides the point, motherfuckers. But it's like you're gonna have a character lose, when he's supposed to be a winner. This was probably not the right idea, but then again, people say, "Oh, which one's it gonna be, Brad? You want Strowman to win, or you want Reigns to win? You can't have it both ways. How about just not having the match, then?" If you can't decide on a winner, if you think it's going to hurt one guy, just don't have the match. It's, when I was thinking about it, I was watching Table for Three. By the way, I recommend it. I like this show on the network, where you just have a couple of guys shooting, basically. Styles, Nash, and Michaels. Styles and Shawn Michaels talk about the dream match. AJ Styles talks about how he wanted to face him at the Rumble. They had that, poster with HBK and Styles, and they were all talking about, let's have the dream match. But then Shawn Michaels, who, by the way, is just brilliant when it comes to wrestling. The man gets it, and it's probably why he was so damn good. He said it just doesn't make sense to have this match. He had this epic match with The Undertaker, where Taker continued his streak. He also got to retire in style in a great match on the biggest stage. It was perfect. So then you would have HBK returning to wrestle Styles, and the question would be, who would win there? AJ Styles, who we all know. Do you have him win to get him over Michaels, and what really does it do for him? Does beating a bunch of guys really, get you over with the crowd? Or do you have HBK have that one last moment of glory beating the young Turk of AJ Styles, just to have that nostalgic moment? You could go either way, but at the end of the day, it's just, why even bother? You already had HBK have a great match as a send-off. Why ruin it? And see, this is exactly why we need to think about these things. Sometimes they're just better off not having certain matches. It's not necessary. It's more important to preserve characters and have them look a certain way. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. Overall, the show was pretty good. I enjoyed it for what it was. It wasn't an amazing show, but I give it like a 7.5. It was decent enough. It was enjoyable. I enjoyed most of the matches. I really did. I didn't find anything particularly bad. Joe and Rollins was probably my least favorite match. It was just a boring fucking match. It just kind of proves that Samoa Joe is very overrated. And there you go, motherfuckers. There's your Payback review. Not a bad show. Not very exciting, but decent enough. Alright.